The numeric value and text component is a tool used in HMI systems to display or input values from specified addresses. It includes 4 types: numeric value display, numeric value input, text display, and text input. This component allows for efficient data representation and interaction, enhancing the overall functionality and user experience of the system. To create one from the menu bar, choose Component, Numeric Value and Text Display, Numeric Value Display. To enter the configuration interface, select Numeric Value Display. You can modify the operational attributes of the component in this interface. If you initially selected a numeric display component but want to change it to a numeric input component, you can simply select Numeric Value Input without having to delete the existing component and add a new numeric input component. This helps improve the efficiency of configuration. Display mode: if you check the password option, you will need to set the data type. When set as a password attribute, the component will display instead of the actual value. You can also use address tag and/or recipe index. Then set the number format. In data type, you can select many different types bit specifications. Integer digits allows you to set the number of digits displayed for the whole number part of a value. Decimal digits specify the number of digits shown after the decimal point, allowing for precise representation of fractional values. When the data type is set to integer, if the decimal places are non-zero, the displayed value will be the actual data scaled down by the corresponding multiple. When selecting leading 0, it displays leading zeros for numbers, such as showing 0005 for the value 5. Lower limit. Set the minimum value for the number. It can be set as a constant or a variable. Upper limit. Set the maximum value for the number. It can be set as a constant or a variable. Below lower limit. When the number falls below the lower limit value, you can set the color and blink effect for the value to indicate it is below the limit. Above upper limit. When the number exceeds the upper limit value, you can set the color and blink effect for the value to indicate it is above the limit. For more advanced adjustments, the numeric value and text component also enables various number operations to manipulate and transform data. These operations include proportion. Convert the value of the read address to the target value in proportion. Minimum value of the ratio is corresponding to the lower limit. Maximum value of the ration is corresponding to the upper limit. Scaling in which it changes the value by a scaling factor, useful for converting units or normalizing data. Submacro: execute the corresponding macro to the value of the source address. Write the result value into PLC and display on HMI. Click Submacro Management to create a new submacro. Logic operation. Perform logic operations to the data, such as bit AND, OR, XOR, and display the result of logic operation. Shift. Perform logic operations to the data, such as shift to left or right based on the bits, and display the result of logic operation. These operations enhance the flexibility and functionality of the component, allowing for more sophisticated data handling and processing. Afterwards, set the font. Configure the font settings for the numeric value display, including font type, size, and color. You can select the graphics, and if there is no more specifications needed, you can hit OK and have your numeric value display. Numeric value input. Now, we can return to the numeric value settings and select Input instead of Display. Similar to the numeric value display settings, we have the same options available. The primary modifications will be to the address type, address, and number format. In this operation, we have the tab keyboard settings added. When configuring the keyboard setting, choose the mode. You have several options. For touch control, simply touch the numeric input component in the HMI window with your finger. Bit control allows the component to trigger the input state when the value of the specified bit address is on. The pop-up keyboard can be enabled or disabled. Enabling it uses the system keyboard component, while disabling it is suitable when using an external keyboard or an input keyboard drawn in the interface. The Auto Position Adjust feature automatically adjusts the position of the pop-up keyboard, and you can select the pop-up position or define it by coordinates using the specified position option. For the Numeric keyboard, you can select the keyboard window, and for detailed information, refer to the keyboard window. The Use Input Order function lets you decide whether to enable this feature, which ensures that the numeric input component of each group is inputted sequentially without interruption, in ascending order. Finally, you can group the input components and input them in ascending order within each group, and then you can select the remaining properties as needed, like the font, graphics, dynamics graphics, etc. Once done with setting up all your parameters, you can click OK, and the numeric value input will be placed in the window. Text Display. Setting up a text display component involves configuring various parameters to display text from specified addresses. Unlike numeric components, there is no number format to set as well as keyboard settings. The main changes involve setting up the address type and number. We do have text settings tabs. To configure the text display component, start by setting the total number of rows it will occupy. Specify the number of rows to be displayed. If fewer rows are displayed than the total, a scroll bar will appear to facilitate viewing all text content. Define the number of characters per line and choose whether to display a scroll bar, setting its width if enabled. Decide whether to display a checkbox and configure horizontal scaling, line space, word space, and shadow effects through the row space settings. Select the character encoding, ASCII only, numbers, symbols, and English letters. Unicode, each character occupies 2 bytes, or UTF-8, a variable length encoding format for almost all characters worldwide. Byte swapping, necessary for data correctness in different processor architectures and network communication, involves swapping the high and low bytes of a 2-byte data. For GB, Guobiao character encoding, separate the original 2-byte representation into high and low bytes, swap their positions, and combine them to form a new 2-byte representation. Perform a high-low byte order test when combining single-word characters into double-word characters, with the low byte coming first in little endian format and the high byte first in big endian format. Note that byte swapping in a word is only available when ASCII is checked. If no encoding options are selected, GB2312 is used by default. Customize the appearance and behavior of the component by setting properties such as font and graphics. Click OK to save the settings, then click anywhere in the window to insert the text display component. Now we are going to create the last component, in which it is text input, in which the only thing that changes is the addition of the keyboard setting components. To create a text input component, select Text Input and configure the general properties in the dialog box. Choose Text Input, and if needed, enable the password option to display IDU for input characters. You can also use different read-write addresses. Set the character settings, including total rows, displayed rows, characters per line, and scroll bar options. Choose the appropriate encoding and configure byte swapping if necessary. Edit the keyboard settings, such as input mode, pop-up keyboard options, and input order. Finally, set properties like font and graphics, click OK, and insert the component into the window. Now, having added some components into the project, we can get to observe how these can interact. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time.